Okay, so I'm going to turn our music on. We'll get started, as I mentioned, with our relaxing yoga stretch. And then for those of us interested, after about 20-ish minutes of yoga, we will take a pause, and some people may be leaving us at that point after yoga, and others will stay on as we venture into our rollout and recovery portion of the class. As I mentioned, if anyone has any questions, anything like that, you can direct it to me after or to your coaches privately. All right, beginning in Shavasana. Let's start laying completely flat on our backs, giving ourselves an opportunity to rest, to relax, not worrying about anything else that's going on in our life, in the world, for the rest of the day. I want us to be present and consider only what we're experiencing right now on our mat. As we're laying down on the floor, let's notice both shoulders equally pressing into the ground. I want you to notice both of your hips, also even from right to left. Now consider your legs. I want us to have straight legs and let the feet fall a little bit open, relaxing at your hips. And if it's possible, we'll go ahead and close our eyes. And as we close our eyes, I want you to bring your focus to your breathing. Feeling your stomach rise and fall. And notice too, while we're trying to focus on our breathing, if there's anything else distracting us, we can remove it, or we can choose to accept that it's there and allow that to just be a part of our practice. Bringing our focus into our breathing. Whenever we notice your mind starts to wander, think about your inhale and then notice your exhale. Remember, it's a powerful tool helping us calm down, helping us think more clearly, helping us to pay better attention, and really, truly experience everything to its fullest. Now, while we're here, laying on our backs, nice and quiet, not distracting any other swimmers, I want us to take those arms all the way up above our head. Nice, big reach over the head. Take your time. And as we're laying here, stretching those arms long up over the head, feel free to stretch right or stretch left. Notice if there's anything happening through the shoulders or the back. Take a moment there. Good. Taking one more inhale with those arms reaching up overhead. And on your next exhale, we're going to release our arms down by our side and gather the knees into the chest, giving ourselves a nice big hug. And as we hold our legs into the chest, we can start rocking right to left, side to side. Notice if we're feeling anything in the hips. I love this lower back massage that this rocking gives us. We'll keep a hold of the knees, give them a little bit more of a squeeze, and roll our ankles. Now we'll keep just the right leg hugged into the chest as we lower that left leg all the way down to the ground. If it's okay to do so, I want you to pull your right knee open out to your right shoulder and see how firmly you can press that left leg down into the ground. Trying to stay relaxed across your shoulders, quiet through your face muscles. We'll draw the knee over towards your left shoulder, squeezing that leg in against the belly. Nice, deep breath. Really feeling ourselves relax. We'll hug the knee into the middle and lower down. Drawing the left knee in whenever you're ready, giving that leg a nice big squeeze, and then we can turn the knee open out towards the left shoulder, really trying to press that right leg down into the ground. Notice if we're feeling any stretch across our hips. Staying soft through the shoulders, the neck, and the face. Drawing the knee over towards the right shoulder. Doesn't have to go very far, still trying to bring the knee in towards the chest. How does that feel today? And we'll bring the knee in and relax down. Taking the feet flat onto the floor, arms are down by our sides, getting ready for some glute bridges. We roll the shoulders into the mat, zip up our entire core, and now we inhale. Lift the hips up to the ceiling, pressing down through our shoulders. Exhale, slowly lower down. We'll do that 3 more times. Inhale, lift up, opening up the front of your hips. Exhale, lower, vertebrae by vertebrae, very controlled. Inhale, lift your hips up. Exhale, lower. And one more time. Inhale, lifting up. And exhale, down. From here, we'll do our windshield wipers, more focus on stretching and loosening up the hips than on training your obliques. However, we know we have to keep our core tight for control. So let's start by taking our arms out to the side, walk the feet a little bit wider. Go ahead and take both knees over to the right side, through the middle, and to the left. And you can do this on your own time. And again, yes, you need to use your abdominal muscles, your obliques, to help control this movement. However, what I want us to focus on is loosening up anything through the hips, the legs, the back. Let's do one more each side. Windshield wipers, just like the blades on your window during a rainstorm. Cleaning everything, rinsing away the bad. Now from here, we can bring the knees into the chest again, giving yourself a nice hug. Some of us may have experienced some nice loosening, a little bit of a release. If you haven't felt anything yet, no worries. We all work a little bit differently. Our body is our own, and we're going to keep working through it as we take our feet to the floor. The next stretch is going to be our figure 4 pose, stretching through the glutes. Now we'll start by crossing our right foot over that left thigh. Make sure that your body didn't immediately twist. Try to keep both sides of your bum on the ground and your back flat. Now we can push the right knee open. That may be enough of a stretch right now. If we're really enjoying this, just stay here. If you need more, take both hands around your left leg, giving that left thigh a squeeze, picking the foot up off the floor. Still keeping your back flat on the mat, trying not to twist. So we've got that right leg opened. We're still trying to push the knee away from the face. Go ahead and check your shoulders. How's our face? Is it soft, or are we all scrunchy and furry in the brow? Try to stay calm here. Good, one more inhale. And exhale, release. Relaxing that, take the left foot over. Again, if we're twisty or we find that we come out of alignment, take a moment, reset, and we can press the knee open or thread both hands under that right thigh. Relax your shoulders, and enjoy this left hip stretch. And anyone out there who finds this really uncomfortable, I want you to adjust the pose so that it feels good. And remember to slow your breathing to help you relax your muscles rather than getting more tight with holding your breath. We don't want that. Now we'll take our final big inhale here and exhale, release. Good. And maybe you want to do a couple more windshield wipers. Very nice. At this point, I'll ask that we switch positions by rolling through baby pose on our sides, up and over onto hands and knees, taking ourselves into our tabletop position. Placing hands directly underneath shoulders, spread your fingers to offer a bigger base of support. Knees are right underneath hips with feet flat on the ground. Pull those bellies in nice and tight, making flat back, and see our shoulders. Rather than letting our shoulders sag, I want us to push away from our hands, drawing our shoulders up, really strengthening through those shoulder girdle muscles. Let's find our spinal balance, extending right arm forward, thumb to the ceiling. Press that left leg back behind you. And then lower down. Inhale, left arm, right leg. Exhale, lower. Inhale, right. Find your balance. Exhale, really concentrate here as we inhale, lift the left. Exhale, one more each side. Inhale, right, strong through your belly muscles. Exhale, down. Inhale, left. Exhale, holding your table, let's find our cats and cows. Inhale, look forward, open through the chest. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, pull the bellies in, round the back up to cat. Inhale, open. Exhale, round. Noticing where we're feeling the stretch, what we're feeling. Inhale, open. Exhale, round. One more of each. Inhale, open. Exhale, round. And we can press back into child's pose. Sinking those hips down deep into the heels if we're able to. Go ahead and extend the arms and rest the forehead. Take a couple big breaths. Now, while we're here, we're going to stretch through the side body, walking the hands over to the right edge of our mat. Take that left hand on top and then pull away from that left shoulder, sitting a little bit more into our left hip. Notice any stretch you feel down that left side. Slowly walking the hands through the middle. Over to the left edge. Right hand comes on top and we pull past that right shoulder this time. Coming through the middle and lifting up into tabletop. Coming into our runner's lunge, we'll step that right foot all the way forward, finding our knee stacking on top of our ankle, helping the knee get there. Feel free to leave your hands on the ground today if this feels good. Otherwise, we can lift up, taking our hands onto our thigh. Maybe we bring them up through heart center or above head. Now, wherever you've chosen to hold your hands, let's bend a little bit more forward into that knee. Picking your bellies up off your thighs. We're never leaning into your thigh. We're still picking the bellies up and then moving our whole pelvis towards the front knee. Feeling a wonderful stretch through the left hip. Holding this here for a couple of big breaths. Good concentration, everyone. Let's take our last big inhale. Now release the hands. We're going to stretch our hamstring. Shift back into that left shin, pulling your right foot up, and then start to slowly sit your hips backwards. hinging forward over that front leg. Little hamstring stretch here. Now everyone is going to look completely different. Please not comparing ourselves to anyone else. Remember, in yoga, we have no competition. We have no judgment. And when the pose doesn't work out the first time, we reset and we try again. Keeping our breathing slow, trying to keep that front leg straight, our back straight, only reaching as far forward as we're able to maintain good quality. One more big inhale. Rock the knee forward, exhale. Take our knee back and press back into child's pose. Take a moment as we sit deep down into those hips, reaching our arms forward if we can, and relax that forehead down. This time we're going to thread the needle, bringing right arm all the way underneath that left arm, laying into our right shoulder, ear, noticing any stretch that we might be feeling in that right shoulder area. Slow, deep breaths. Encourage your body to lengthen, to relax, to calm down. Coming through the middle, we'll take that left arm under instead, laying into the left ear. Making sure that you've adjusted the position if you need to really get the most out of it. We feel good. We're comfortable. A little bit of sensation, maybe in that left shoulder that we're feeling. Slowly coming through the middle, and we'll rise up into tabletop position again. This time to repeat runner's lunge on that left side, or the leg we haven't done yet. Sweeping our left foot forward, helping the foot get there so the knee is stacked on top of the ankle. If we need to, we'll keep the hands down on the floor today. Otherwise, we'll try lifting up onto the thigh. Keeping the belly in tight, we shift the entire pelvis forward, bending a little bit more into that left knee, opening up this right hip. And we can bring our arms above head or through heart center. Really draw the shoulders down, creating lots of space between ear and shoulder. Close your eyes if that's something that you're interested in as we stretch that right hip. One more inhale. Exhale, release the arms. Slowly sitting back so that we're on our right shin. Adjust your foot if it needs to. You can keep a little bit of a knee bend in that left leg. And then we sit into our left hips, hinging from the hips, keeping your back flat until you feel a stretch. Recognize that your left side might be different than the right. So I'm, for instance, much higher on this left leg. And as I breathe, I'll slowly work my way down, having no expectation of what it should look like or what it should feel like. We listen to our body, we breathe into the stretch, and then we take the pose that's working for us today. Slow, deep breath. Very good. We take one more inhale. Rocking forward, exhale, sweep that leg back, press back into child's pose. From here, we're going to come all the way forward into kneeling plank. Take that chaturanga, slow lower all the way to your stomach. Lift up through cobra, just a baby cobra to start. Halfway up. All the way down to your stomach, press back into child's pose. We'll do that one more time, coming up to full cobra if you'd prefer. Inhaling forward into kneeling plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra. Stretching the belly. Exhale, press back into child's pose. And when you're ready, if you're ready, coming up to down dog. Curling the toes, lifting the hips, pressing away from all 10 fingers, lifting those hips up nice and tall, creating flat backs, pushing your chest through the shoulders, and then go ahead and you can pedal out those feet, walking the dog, working through the fascia of the feet, the arches, the toes to heels. Stretching out those calves, maybe feeling it in the hamstrings. Sometimes it feels good too to kind of wiggle the hips right to left, stretching through the sides of the legs. Sometimes we like to bend the knees towards the floor and then lift those hips up really tall. And maybe we'd rather just hold it. Very good. We're going to come onto our stomach, inhaling forward into plank. Exhale, chaturanga completely to the floor, laying flat on your stomach, taking the arms out to the side, getting ready for your scorpion. So as we lay here, we're very comfortable, we're very relaxed. We're just laying down on our stomach, letting our body melt into the ground. And we've got our arms reaching out to the side, making a T with the body. Working the stretch, so now that we're working through the front of the shoulder, making sure that we're just not pushing too far, really listen to the body. So we'll start by taking our right hand underneath the right shoulder. Take your right knee and bend it. You can bend both if you prefer. Those of you who have done this before. We roll over that left hip, just using that right hand as a little bit of a guidance to help push over that straight left arm. I'll do it again for anyone needing a little bit of help. We won't hold it much longer. Right hand, right knee, bend over. Some people will have both legs up. That's too much for me today, so I'm gonna just work on my right knee up. And we'll come onto our stomach, laying both arms out to the side, taking a couple more deep breaths. Getting ready to repeat that. We'll take the left hand underneath the left shoulder, bend that left knee or both, and gently push over that right arm. Doesn't have to go very far. And we'll stretch now the front of that right shoulder. A little bit of stretch through the back as well for anyone who felt that. That's very normal. One more inhale. Exhale, slowly moving onto the stomach. Take a couple of breaths here. And we'll bring our hands back under the shoulders or ribs, pressing ourselves up into Cobra. From Cobra, you can choose to come back into Down Dog or Child's Pose, whichever one your body's asking for. Good, enjoy these last couple of breaths here. And we'll all come into tabletop in order to sweep those legs around, bringing them into staff pose so that we can take our final stretch together, which will be forward fold. And this will conclude the stretching portion of our recovery class today. Sitting up really nice and tall. Let's inhale, lift both arms up above head. Exhale, reach forward. And when you're there, feel free to rest your arms and maybe even your head if that helps stretch through the back of the neck. Take a few deep breaths. And slowly rolling up. Very good. Now, if we could all just sit in our easy seated pose or lotus for a moment. Let's get started. So, getting your ball. Make sure you can see me. With our rollout stuff, we're going to have to make sure that we're patient. We take our ball, if you've got it, you're going to take it up against your back. And where I'm putting it is up against my shoulder. Okay, so I'm putting it kind of right on top of my shoulder, and then you're going to play with it by just leaning into the wall and applying as much pressure as you require, rolling back and forth over that whole kind of shoulder blade region. Now with our rollout stuff, a lot of trial and error, kind of playing, a lot of readjusting. And sometimes if you're really tight or you feel like those I call them sweet spots, those sore spots. You're going to just hold it. And the best advice I was ever given from a colleague was, if you feel that sweet spot and the pressure is there and you're ready to switch into that fight or flight response, what you'll do is hold it, apply pressure, and then big deep breath. Breathe into that sweet spot until you can handle it. And then you start that roll again, very gently, readjusting as many times as you need to. Now, right now, I'm focusing on specifically my right side. So if you're on the floor, same thing. If you're using a roller, just on that one kind of shoulder blade, exploring. And you may not get all of it. You may find some spots that you realize today you need to focus more on throughout the weekend or through the next coming days. At this point, I feel like I definitely have some work to do on this right shoulder. However, I want to switch to my left shoulder now. I don't want to overdo it. So if you haven't yet switched to that left shoulder, start by just rolling. Nice big strokes back and forth. Getting a sense of how this left shoulder or the other side feels now. As I mentioned, readjust as many times as you need to. And then once you start to find the area that requires just a little bit more attention, center in on that area. So you won't be going quite as big in your rolling. And every now and then, if you find a sweet spot, you're going to hold it, press into it, and take a couple of big breaths. We're encouraging blood flow to those spots that need a cleanup crew, right? We think of a dirty spot. There was a spill on the gymnasium floor. Well, you don't just leave it there and get it sticky and dirty and messy. You have a cleanup crew come in, clean it up, polish it so it's ready to go. That's what's happening internally right now. We're pressing into it, and now a cleanup crew is coming because we're sending signals to the brain that this area of your body needs some extra attention. We need to get rid of the bad and bring in some good, clean blood to help fix the muscle spot. All right, so definitely more aware of perhaps what we're dealing with. I'm going to give our shoulders and upper body a bit of a break. Go ahead and just take a couple shoulder rolls. Maybe you're feeling some stiffness now. That's the acid that we just flushed through the system. So we'll definitely work more on the shoulders. What I'd like you to do is work on the legs for a moment. So we'll give the back a break, work on the legs. Taking the ball somewhere along your IT band. IT band runs from your hip, so your ilium, down to your shin. Your tibia is your shin bone. So I, T, and then it's the band that stretches up a bit. Depending on how tight you are through the front of your thigh or the back of your thigh, you may need to loosen this up. And it could be up near your hip or down closer to your knee. So we have to explore that by taking your leg. I'm going to start with my right leg, and I'm going to put the ball underneath my hip bone on my leg and start rocking back and forth. Personally, I don't feel much there, so I'm going to move it down a little bit. Rock it back and forth. I feel a little bit more, not much. If you already feel a sweet spot, you stay there. Oh, okay, I'm 100% getting closer to the jackpot at the end of the rainbow. I'm almost there. And what you'll notice too while we're doing this, is some of your muscle, it almost feels like it's grabbing onto the ball. I don't know if anyone's getting that, but it's that sensation like your muscle's trying to grab the ball, like it's defending itself. It's saying, go away. At that point, if your body's starting to fight, you're going to stop, press a little bit more pressure into the wall, take a couple of really nice deep breaths, and notice too, is the front of the thigh or the back of the thigh more responsive? So as you roll the ball more forward, is your quadriceps jumping, or is it more when you roll the ball back that you feel it? So that's going to tell us too if we need to focus more on our quad or our hamstring later. Okay, so at this point, I feel like I have a pretty good understanding. I've worked out a couple spots on my right leg. I'm going to start the same game on my left, taking it first right below. So my hip bone right about here, I'm gonna take the ball just below it. So I'm not working right on the bone, I'm working a little bit below it into the band. Nothing there. Couple rocks back and forth. So you may feel it immediately if you're feeling tighter in the proximal end of your IT band, so higher up towards your hip. Just keep rocking back and forth. For some of us, our entire IT band might just be tight today, and this may be pure agony. If you're doing this on the floor, same thing. You're laying on your roller, rocking back and forth, going inch by inch from hip to knee on that IT band. Never going exactly on the hip, exactly on the knee. Try to avoid those major joints. And we're exploring. Oh, okay, so my quad on my left leg just tried to jump again. My IT band tried to grab the ball. So I'm going to find the sweet spot and then apply some more pressure, leaning into the wall. Couple big breaths. So if you're on the floor, same thing. You can apply a little bit more pressure, holding it at any point when you need to. We'll do just about 20 more seconds on this side. I don't want to exhaust our pain tolerance right off the bat. These upper back, shoulder areas and IT bands are often so tight for us. I wanted to make sure we had a good understanding and got that taken care of right away so that we can do some deeper work after. I'm almost all the way down the length of my left IT band. So what I've learned from today is that I'm definitely a little bit lower. Where I'm tighter towards my knee, and I'm tighter towards the front. So my thigh muscle in the front, which is my quadriceps. So hopefully you've learned a little bit about yourself too. We have one more thing we're going to do, fine tuning with the ball. If you're using the roller and you're on the floor, you're gonna flip onto your stomach. The thing we're going to work on next is working through our pec, which can sometimes cause us some problems through our posture. So you're going to be taking your chest towards the wall and working through that small muscle. Again, try not to take it directly on the shoulder joint, keep it on the chest. If you're on the floor, you're spider monkeying yourself. I usually like to get one knee bent out to the side to help as I'm rolling back and forth. So arm out, and when you're going through this, the same thing as we did with the leg. Start with large, broad strokes, like you would a paintbrush. Start with those large, broad strokes. And then as we need to, we work on the detail using finer strokes. And play with the angle of your arm. I'm not getting a lot with my arm out to the side. I'm gonna try it a little bit higher. Sometimes that helps. And when you find the sweet spot, which I'm just about at, I think, there it is, you're going to hold it. And don't worry if you're not feeling the sweet spots today. That can be a couple of different things. Maybe you're a little bit hesitant, right? You're maybe new to rolling, or you just don't really want to hurt yourself because it's an uncomfortable feeling when you hit those acid spots. Or perhaps you don't really need a lot of that feeling today. And that's great. Working through the mobility, being able to go through this. Okay, switching to the other side whenever you need to. I'm going to start with my arm out to the side. Going nice and broad strokes here through the chest. Oh, and just as I suspected, this side is much easier for me to notice tight chest muscles. Readjust as often as you need to, and as I mentioned, feel free to change the angle of that arm if you'd like to play with it. Sometimes it can expose some spots you weren't aware of. And you are the controller of how much pressure you apply. That's what I love about rolling. It's like you're your own massage therapist, applying as much pressure as you need to work through that spot, using your breath to help you really dig deep. All right. From here, please grab some water. We just flushed a lot of acid through the body, so I want us to stay hydrated. I'm going to, at this point, set my ball aside because I know that when I come down to the floor, the ball is just too much for me. I'm very sensitive to the acid that's in my muscles. So I prefer a larger surface area out of the foam roller. So I'm gonna grab my foam roller, come down to the floor, And we're going to revisit our IT band area. With our IT band, this time we've got the roller perpendicular to the long edge of our yoga mat. We're going to start by just sitting on the side of it, and I'm sitting just off of the hip. Now, depending on where you felt this, with your ball or with your roller on the floor going kind of back and forth, you may already know if you need to do more hip or more knee. So I know that I need to do more knee. So I'm going to aim to go lower towards my knee, never on my knee. And I'm actually going to flip my body. See how I'm now more stomach down? Because I learned that it was my quadriceps that was the tighter area. So nice big strokes up and down that IT band. And if you learned anything from our first go at our IT band, you may already have the information. If you're still exploring, go ahead and play with leaning more forward, play with leaning more backward, going all the way from just below the hip to just above the knee. And as soon as you're able to really dig deep, you're going to take those slow, deep breaths and hold your sweet spots. And if you're like me right now and you've found the sweet spot, I'm gonna try to relax a little bit more into it by coming down onto my elbow. Trying to let our rest or calm or relaxing nervous system take over. That's your parasympathetic nervous system. If you ever hear of the fight or flight, that would be your sympathetic nervous system, which is your let's get ready to run, or there's a crocodile in the water and I'm a wildebeest and I'm drinking and a crocodile snaps. Well, the wildebeest is going to quickly run. They're going to quickly flee. They're on high alert. That's what your body's doing when you hold your breath and you tense all up. So we want to stay relaxed and calm. And that's going to release really nice chemicals throughout our body that help relax and repair these muscles that are a little bit tight. All right, we can switch sides now if you haven't already. Because I want to face the camera, I'm going to just switch to the other end of my mat. Feel free to face away. Getting ourselves on nice and gentle, because you don't want to just assume that you can apply all this pressure onto it. This side may be a little bit tighter, you're not sure, could be highly sensitive. And then if you know already kind of the area, the general area that you're going to work, go ahead and focus on that. I'm, again, more stomach down, and I'm a little bit closer towards my knee. Really listen to the body. If you've done my classes before, you know that what I love about exercise and recovery classes, mind-body classes specifically, is that this is the chance that you have to explore, to investigate your body, to check in, figure out what you're actually working with. It's your body, but when do we take those x-rays? When do we take those moments and, assess ourselves without judgment? Just how is my right leg? How is my left leg? How is my IT band? How is my quadricep? About 30 more seconds. So I'm going to come down onto my elbow, breathe into this, because this side's really tight right now. And then we can slowly come off of that and come back into child's pose. I like using my roller to rest my arms on in child's pose, stretching through the shoulders just a little bit more. Take a few deep breaths. All right, coming up, we're going to stretch through our quadriceps next. So that's your front of your thigh. We'll aim at lowering the roller below our pelvis, so underneath our hips, and stopping above the kneecap. Go ahead and start by laying your pelvis on the roller and then come just above it. Good. So the roller is below your pelvis or your pubic bone. So much more comfortable when you're laying on your thighs. And take your legs nice and close together. Essentially, we're in a forearm plank. And now you're going to just rock forward and back. Very similar to a dolphin flow. You can do a little bit of a bum lift or a pike if you need to. For some people, this is going to feel wonderful, and it's exactly what you need. For me, I need to go lower. Mine's definitely more towards my knees, feeling all of that lunge work and jumping that I did this week. So depending on what you do week to week, you work different muscles differently. That's why we need to always have an open mind and explore the body rather than assuming or expecting it to feel a certain way, right? You don't just go into every yoga class thinking, oh, well, my hamstrings are always loose, so that's good. I'm just gonna focus on my, name a muscle. Instead, you go in with an open book, willing to learn something new about yourself. At this point, I also realized I'm not getting enough out of it, so I'm gonna double up. And what I mean by that is I'm going to go to the end of my roller, focus on my right leg only for a moment. And that means I'm spider monkeying my left leg out, using that as my guide so that I can put some of my weight into my left leg. Not all of my weight goes into the right leg. That would be too intense for me today. And remember that your quadricep is composed of 4 different muscles. Okay, 4 muscles go into the making of your quadricep. That's why it's got its name, quad. So you need to play with the inside, the middle, the top, the bottom, and that outside for me of your thigh. Now, if you're just really not feeling very much of the quad, that's okay. Again, some days are different depending on what we've been doing and how our body responded to it. At this point, I will encourage us to switch to the other leg if you have singled it out like I did. I'm gonna go to the other end of my roller. I just find it easier that way because I'm using a long roller. If you have a short roller, you may not need to worry about moving to the other end. Spider monkey that knee out if it helps. And then I'm going to work on going up and down the outside, the middle. Ooh, the middle on that left leg for me. And then working through the inside as well. And learning where it is on that leg that you really need to focus on. So for me, it's lower and middle on the left leg. And it was outside and low on the right. Taking those notes down so you know what you're working with over these next couple days. And then slowly, again, I'll ask us to back behind the roller, coming into an amazing child's pose stretch. Get lower in those hips each time if you're able to. Let your chest really come through. All right, giving the legs a break for a moment. Just a few minutes left of our recovery class today. I'll ask that we come sideways on our mat. Again, the roller is perpendicular to the long edge of your mat. We're going to focus on those lats. We've done a lot today with our shoulders. We've worked front, we've worked back, we've done a little bit through the sides. So now if we can lay below the shoulder on kind of the rib cage area, we're going to, holy moly, maybe stop and breathe, or rock back and forth, working through those lats. Your lats stretch from basically your waist up into the shoulder area. So you may need to explore. For me, it's right up high into the rotator cuff muscles, basically. So I'm going to hold it here and breathe, and then every now and then add a little bit of a roll. Use your feet to help guide that. Take those big deep breaths. And when it is really sensitive, or when you really are feeling something, give yourself permission to try to relax or to readjust, take a break, so that you can go after this with that parasympathetic nervous system primarily operating, trying to avoid that fight or flight response while we're doing this, to send the good chemicals through the body that will help everything release and let go and recover. All right, not too much time on these sides. I don't want us to overdo this. So we can switch to the other side if you're ready. At any point, I'm gonna face away from you so you can see the back too. So at any point, if you're feeling something and you don't want to continue, feel free to keep going with it. If I've moved on and you're not ready to do that yet, stay there, take a few moments. And if you're watching the recording, I mean, the beautiful thing about doing a recorded class, you can press pause. All right, so again, I'm right through some of those rotator cuff muscles near the top of where the lats insert, and I'm noticing a whole bunch of feeling. I'm going to just hold that here for a moment. Those deep, slow breaths. About 20 more seconds. We can slowly come off of that. And this time I'm actually going to ask us to take a cobra. And we can do cobra by resting our hip bones onto the roller if that's comfortable. And then as you press up, oh, you get so much extension through the back, that lift, the hips are lifting, and it's a little bit of a helper supporting the pelvis. Take a couple of breaths and back into our final child's pose. Amazing. Feels amazing. Slowly coming up. Our final stretch, I haven't forgot about them, our glutes. So in class today, we did do our figure 4. We're going to do our figure 4 as our very last rolling exercise. And how you do that is you sit on your roller. So as we sit on the roller, make sure first of all you're comfortable. It's like any class when you're first getting used to equipment, if you're doing a new move, you have to make sure you have good control and you're comfortable. Taking our hands behind us, you can straighten out your right leg, left leg on top, and then depending on how this feels, I'm actually going to lean a little bit into my left hip, bringing my right foot on the floor, and then you rock over that raised glute. Now you may feel this a lot. You may feel this hardly at all. I'm gonna twist myself just a little bit so you can see I'm now taking my left hand off the ground because I need to work into that exposed right or left hip muscle. And again, you may feel this a lot, you may feel this a little, depending on what you need and what your body's working with today. Explore, investigate, learn. I'm just about found that secret sweet spot. It was hiding, but I've exposed it. I'm leaning a little bit more. I got it. Okay, so I have to hold it here. You know you hit the jackpot when it's all encompassing. You breathe into it, and then whenever you can, you start releasing again and rolling through. And notice how much I had to explore to find that. I had to change the position of my legs, the orientation of my body. I had to really dig deep to find the muscle that was hiding from me. It was trying to escape this rolling exercise. All right, now not spending too much time there, let's reposition ourselves. I'll start by straightening out that left leg, not assuming that I need so much pressure. Take the right leg. Maybe you rock back and forth. Oh, I'm okay. So I'm gonna bend that knee and then just twist a little bit into that right hip and start back and forth. Okay, so nothing too much for me up high. I'm starting to notice a little bit. Okay, so I'm again going to take all my weight into my right hand and try to find, oh, there we go. So I had to dig deep, going deep past my gluteus maximus into my medius, which is a little bit outside, a little bit up high, in order to find the spot. And again, I'm going to hold it here. Take a couple big breaths. And if you don't know all of the names of muscles I've been saying, that's okay. You don't need to. What you need to understand is, where do you feel the sensation? How much do you feel? And can you relate that to any movement maybe you've been doing throughout the last couple of days or this week? And then you're aware of it and you can keep working through it. All right, at this point, we'll slowly try to reverse that, come up. So we're still sitting on the roller, if that's comfortable for you. If sitting on the roller is not comfortable, go ahead and just sit in front of it. We'll take the legs out a little bit wider, slight softness in the knee, taking our final stretch together, which will be a forward fold. Big inhale, lift up. Exhale, reach forward. If you're on the roller, you'll see that you get just a little bit more room. And I'm going to really try to keep my back flat here as I reach forward, stretching through those hamstrings. And slowly roll ourselves up. Good. If you were on the roller, recommend taking yourself gently off of it. And I lied. I want to do a neck stretch to finish. Feels like we should do a neck stretch to finish. Sitting up so tall, comfortable in your position. Let's tilt that ear to the right, and we can push that left hand away. And that's exactly what I needed. Take a few deep breaths here. Hopefully you're also enjoying this. Coming through the middle, and tip your left ear over. And we can press that right arm away if that helps. Very good, everybody. As we come up to the middle, go ahead and just take a couple of shoulder rolls. Oh, I am feeling so many things in my shoulders right now. So this being said, after rolling out, it's like after a massage when you're really noticing, you're aware, because you've just sent so many messages to your brain that now it's aware of these spots that maybe you were hiding or you were ignoring or just dealing with. So keep yourself loose. Every now and then, give yourself some stretch, maybe a heat pad. Definitely don't just sit down and get small. You want to really expand through this. So keep yourself loose. Lots of fluids, making sure you've got some water after this to keep flushing out the system. Okay, that being said, we will say our final goodbye together. Sitting up nice and tall. Big inhale, hands up to prayer. Exhaling down through heart center. Namaste. Thank you so much, everybody.